Direct dough versus Poolish dough. Which dough do you think is going to taste better? Which one's going to look better? And overall, which one do you think you'd want to try? Stick around and find out. What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. It's the Pizza Guy John, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a comparison of a Poolish dough versus a direct dough. If you're not familiar with the Poolish dough, I got some recipes that I'll post up, that I'll link up above. You can definitely check that out. But a Poolish is basically like a pre-ferment. It's almost similar to like a sourdough. It's done in two parts. You would do the Poolish in one part, and the next day you would follow up and do your rest of the dough. Gives off a light, airier crust, a little bit more fermented. So again, it's easier also on the stomach to eat as well. So that's the Poolish. And then we're doing a direct dough. This is something similar to what I've been recently doing a lot. Again, this is also a 24-hour dough. It's also same as the Poolish. It's also 24-hour. So again, they both have different flavors. And so that's what we're going to find out in the video is, does it have different flavors, different texture to it? And again, we're just wanting to do a whole comparison to see which one is better, Poolish or a direct dough. Dough recipes are going to be pretty similar, except for the Poolish, we do use a little bit more yeast. So we use about 5 grams of yeast because again, it's again going at a quicker pace versus the direct dough. What we're doing with the direct dough is we're doing 8 hours at room temp versus the Poolish. It's only around 4 hours at room temp, 2 to 4 hours at room temp, again depending on your room temperature. So we're going to go ahead and just break that down. I'm going to show you guys the different recipes, different formulas. I'm not going to go through the full process of kneading and mixing and doing everything because again, that does make for a longer video, but I'll just show you what everything looks like, the formulas, and then we'll show you the end result. So make sure you're sticking around, like, subscribe, comment down below on my video as well. So with the Poolish, again, we're doing 2 pizzas at 65% hydration. It's a 50% Poolish. With the direct dough, we're also doing 2 pizzas at 65% hydration. So the hydration levels are going to stay the same amount of water. So with the Poolish, like I said, it's done. The first part is the Poolish. So we got 150 grams of flour, 150 grams of water, and 5 grams of yeast. And the way that we do that is we're going to go ahead and mix that together. We set that to the side and we let that sit at room temp for an hour to do its thing, and straight into the fridge for around 16 to 18 hours. With the direct dough, the recipe for that is going to be 310 grams of flour, 202 grams of water, 0.93 grams of yeast, and 6.2 grams of salt. The water temperatures are both the same, so that's not different. It's just, again, the formula and how much each item does weigh. So let's go ahead and do our Poolish real quick. And like I said, the Poolish is basically just mixing the yeast in there. Go ahead and just mix that around. And we're also wanting to see, again, what's easier. I know some people do like to do a direct dough if they don't have the time. Poolish does take a little bit longer, only because, again, a little bit more extra steps. But could it be something that's easier as well? So we'll go ahead and you pour in all your water. I'm just going to use our spoon. And some people would put some sugar in the Poolish. I, have stopped doing that only because in the high oven, it does tend to burn a little bit. So I've stayed away from doing the sugar in there in the dough or in your Poolish. But again, if you wanted to, again, that is up to you. You would just use around 3 grams to 5 grams of that. All right, and then so that is now done. You go ahead now, let's just scrape that into here. And with your top, again, you go ahead and put that on, set that to the side for an hour. It should start doubling and start showing a lot of bubbles, start fermenting. After an hour, then you go ahead and place it in the fridge. So right now, 426, we're going to put that in the fridge in about 1 hour, so 526. All right, so now that the Poolish is done, again, that's the first part. Now let's go ahead and do our direct dough. Again, the direct dough is something that, again, it's done also similar in one part. However, the first part, you're mixing all the ingredients in, you're getting your big dough, putting in your fridge for 16 hours. The second part will be making your dough balls and placing at room temp for 8 hours before you're able to make it. So now that, again, we have our flour here, again, 310 grams, 202 grams of water, 6.2 grams of salt, and 0.93 grams of yeast. We're going to go ahead and put our yeast in there. Going to get that mixed around. And we're just gonna do about 80% of the water. At this point, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and knead it, get it to about pretty smooth. Then I'm gonna go ahead and place our salt in there, the rest of the water, and knead it until it's really smooth. And then after that, I'll do 2 15-minute rest periods. And then at that point, I'll come back when it's all fully in one dough ball, and then we'll get it into the fridge. So we'll be back shortly. Alright, so welcome back. I've now kneaded the dough, the direct dough, for a good 10-15 minutes. I've done 2 resting periods of 15 minutes. If you want to take a look at this recipe that I'm doing here, again, I'll go ahead and link that up above. Again, this is the direct dough, so at this point, it is looking nice and smooth, feels nice and soft. What we're going to go ahead now and do at this point, I'm just going to get into a big dough ball here, as you can see. Nice and smooth and tight. We'll go ahead now and drop it into an oiled bowl here. We'll get this covered, and then we're gonna put this in the fridge now for 16 hours. After 16 hours, then we'll go ahead and do the second part, which would be making dough balls and letting it sit at room temp for 8 hours. So I'm gonna put that to the side just for a second. We're getting pretty close to putting this in the fridge. It is 5:14. As you can see, if you can see, there's definitely some bubbles forming up on top. There's some popping as they come through. It's almost doubled in size. So once this is doubled at 5:26, we'll go ahead and put this in the fridge for around 16 to 18 hours. So we'll get this in the fridge, and then we'll come back and get this one in there. So we'll be back shortly. Alright, so it's been 1 hour now. As you can see, there's some bubbles. It has doubled in size. We're going to go ahead and get this covered up, and we're going to go ahead and put this now in the fridge, again, between 16 and 18 hours. I want to be able to make dough and have the pizzas both ready at the same time, shooting for around 5 p.m. So again, I'm going to put this in for about 17 to 18 hours or so. So we'll put that in the fridge, and we'll see you tomorrow. Alright, welcome back. So it's now 16 hours later. We have our direct dough. Again, this one's going to come out first because it does have to sit at room temp for a little bit longer, so a total of 8 hours. So let's go ahead and we're going to ball this up real quick. Again, this is going to make 260-gram dough balls. So we got our scale, we got our plate, we got our semolina to help with the dough, and I'm going to go ahead and put that at 0. And I'm briefly just going to show you this. Right away with the direct dough, I could smell it. There's a little bit more, like almost like a sourdough. It does feel nice and soft. It smells really good. So let's go ahead and let's get this taken out. I'm just gonna flop that there. And we have our dough box, because again, we're gonna put our 2 direct dough balls in here, and then we'll have another one for our Poolish dough. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put a little bit of semolina. And I'm just gonna show you how I do one, and then I'll get the other one in there as well. 290, 220, 253, and just a little bit more. 260, and then let's go ahead and let's just see what this dough ball is looking at. 258 or 248, so that's okay. We'll go ahead and let's just get this balled up. And you can feel the air in there. It feels really, really nice. Get this closed off. All right, so we'll go ahead and put this in our dough tray here. And then I'll go ahead and make the other dough ball, and then I'm gonna put this label on there so we know this is the direct dough. Again, this will sit at room temp for 8 hours. We'll be back here shortly to make our Poolish dough. All right, we are back now to do our Poolish dough recipe. Here you can see we have our Poolish. Let's go and take a look at it. I just pulled out of the fridge. You can see all the bubbles. Right away, I'm getting hit with some aroma of almost like a sourdough. It smells bitter. It smells good, it looks good, and it's ready. This is about 17-ish hours that it's been in the fridge. Anything longer, again, you'll just end up seeing it falling down and it becomes weak. So again, anywhere between 16 to 18 hours. So I'm gonna put that to the side. I'm gonna go ahead and we have our ingredients here. So for part 2, we need 150 grams of flour, 45 grams of water, and the water is roughly around 72 degrees. It is a little little bit cooler in the house as well. We got our Poolish, and then we got 9 grams of salt. I'm gonna go ahead and get all this mixed together. Again, I have some Poolish videos that I will link up above if you want to see the whole process, but for the purpose of the video, I'm gonna go ahead and get everything mixed together, and we'll come back once everything is fully incorporated and in a ball formation. So we'll be back. All right, so we're now at the point we're gonna go ahead and divide this into 2 dough balls. This is the Poolish dough. As you can see, it is pretty big, it's full of air. So let's go ahead and let's get this taken out, and I'll put that to the side. I'm gonna get a little bit of semolina here. All right, so we're gonna do 2 260-gram dough balls. Let me go ahead and get my scale turned on at 0, and again 260. So let's get this one here. It's a little heavy. 258, 260, and we'll put this one to the side, and about 220. So that is definitely okay. Let's go ahead and let's ball this up. And so I can feel there's already a lot more air in this dough. All right, so we have our dough ball here. We're gonna go ahead and put it into its separate container, and I'm gonna go ahead and do the next one, and then we'll be back shortly. All right, so now that we have 2 of our different doughs, again, we have here on the left-hand side, we have our direct dough, and on the right-hand side, we have our Poolish. Now we're basically letting these both rise at room temp before we get cooking. This direct dough has been sitting at room temp now roughly, let's say about 4 hours, 3-4 hours or so. And then the Poolish dough now again just went into ball formation. So this is gonna take 3 to 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours before it's ready to go. As you can see, you know, again, 2 different doughs, and we're gonna find out again which one's stretching better, which one tastes better, which one looks better, and again, which one you like better. So comment down below. So far, if you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. Again, it definitely helps me and the channel out a lot. But we'll come back once we're ready to make some pizzas. All right, so it is now time to make pizza. As you can see, we have our direct dough here and our Poolish here, both done in the same time frame of 24 hours. Let's go ahead and take a look at our direct dough. As you can see, it is now doubled in size. There's some bubbles in there, so this dough is ready to go. Let's go ahead and take a smell of this as well. Smells like dough, not really getting too much aroma off of it, but it does smell pretty good. As you can see, it's bouncing back, so it's ready to go. Now let's take a look at our Poolish. Again, a lot bigger, doubled in size, and again, it's a lot bigger, a little bit more air again. It does have a little bit more yeast and a little bit more salt to help it, again, in the fermentation to help fast. Again, this dough is ready to go. The smell, the aroma of it, you get a little bit more like a sourdough, a little bit of sour aroma to it. So let's go ahead and take a look. First, we're going to be making 2 pizzas, 1 cheese and 1 pepperoni. The pepperoni will be the direct and just the cheese will be the Poolish. And again, I want to see if there's really a comparison of, you know, the flavors, the looks of it, and overall which one is better. And again, you can make that choice too. Comment down below and let me know what you think will be the best for you. So let's go ahead and push this to the side. I'm gonna put this up above here, and let's go ahead and just do the direct dough first. And we're using the Gosney dome, just, you know, keeping it consistent. But let's go ahead and let's do the direct dough first. And I'm gonna go ahead and let's get this one right here. Get a little bit of semolina here. Just gonna flop that in there. And again, this is the direct dough. So again, same 24 hours, just a little bit longer room temperature. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and get it stretched out. You could hear that air in there sounding really nice. Spun that way. And again, which method do you prefer doing? Comment down below. And the dough does feel nice and soft. Again, it's been at room temp. Temperature in the room's been around 65, so a little cool, not too warm. So go ahead and we'll get this stretched out. And again, like I said, we're just gonna do a pepperoni on this one. All right, going down with some Parmesan. And about a handful of cheese. And we're gonna do some pepperoni. All right. Do a final little stretch on this. And again, the dough feels soft, so now we're going to go into, like I said, the gauzy dome. I'm going to turn down just a little bit. And again, the oven's looking at about 850, 840. So a little windy, so we just got to kind of watch that flame. All right, we'll go ahead and get a spin. Getting some nice browning to that crust. Get a spin of this. Alright, our last spoon here. All right, and just like that, we got this pizza cooked. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this inside. This is the 24-hour direct method, 16-hour cold fermented, and then 8 hours at room temp. Again, the recipe would be down below. This makes 2 pizzas, as you can see. Nice browning all the way around. Let's take a listen to that crust. Nice and crispy. Let's take a look at this bottom. Bottom nice and cooked all the way around. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this cool on the cooling rack. I'm gonna go ahead and make my other pizza. So we'll be back here just in a sec. All right, so now that we have the pizza done with the direct, let's go ahead now. Let's get our pizza dough, our pizza ball, with, again, using the Poolish. Again, here is that dough here. And again, right away, you get hit with that smell of aroma. All right, so let's go ahead and get this one. Again, this is gonna be really full of air. I'm gonna get that flopped under there. And again, this is the Poolish. And we're gonna go ahead and get some of that semolina. Again, a lot more air. And again, like I said, it does have to do with the amount of yeast. It does have a way more amount of yeast compared to the direct, but let's go ahead and let's get this stretched out. And again, this is just gonna be a cheese pizza. All right, so and again, right away, again, just feeling a little bit more air in this dough. A little harder to stretch. I'm getting a little bit of pushback as well with it. And again, it's ready to be made, but like I said, just a little bit of pushback. It's a little bit harder to stretch, but let's go ahead and let's get this down here. All right, and again, just a cheese pizza. Let's get a little bit more. All right, and again, some Parmesan. Handful of cheese. All right, straight into the oven. Turn down just a little bit. And again, this is the Poolish dough. And again, all recipes will be down below in the description. All right, and we'll go ahead now and get it spun around. All right, and so there we go. This is the Poolish. Let's go ahead and get inside. All right, so here is the Poolish. Again, the pizza that was made using Poolish method. For whatever reason, it seemed like it was taking just a little bit longer to cook. I'm not too sure why, but again, as you can see, it did burn a little bit, only because again, I was just having a real time kind of seeing it, how it was cooking, because again, it just didn't seem like it was cooking fully. But let's take a listen to that crust. Nice and crispy as well. Let's take a look at this bottom. Nice and cooked all the way around. Does feel a little bit more firm, so a little bit more crispier. Again, same percentage of 65%. But again, for whatever reason, it was taking a little bit longer. So I'm gonna let this cool. Then we'll go ahead and bring over the direct method. We're going to do a little bit more comparison. We'll get into a cut and taste the crust to see again which one, tastes better. But yeah, we'll be back shortly. All right, so now the pizzas are here on the cooling rack. As you can see, this is the direct method pizza with the pizza dough, and this is the Poolish, like I said previously. For whatever reason, the Poolish, a little bit harder to stretch for whatever reason, I'm not too sure. It was fully fermented, had a lot of air bubbles, but it also took a little longer to cook. So you could see here on the left-hand side, it burned a little bit, but overall it has some nice color to the crust. Over here on the direct method, again, nice even color all the way around. You got some char pieces here, but again, overall, this one looks a lot nicer. Both around the same size. Again, this one most likely cooked a lot quicker. And same as well as the crunch to it. Sounds really, really nice. Like I said, with the Poolish, again, there was a lot more of a sour aroma coming right as you open up the dough box versus the direct method. Not really so much of a aroma. It was more like a dough aroma. So nothing really like sourdough. So again, if you're looking to do something more that gives off a little bit more of a sourdough, again, the Poolish would be the best method. So overall, these are the two pizzas. Comment down what you think, direct method versus Poolish. Let's get a poll going. Let's see, again, what you guys prefer. But I think the main test is going to be a cut into this and tasting the crust to see which one tastes better. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so let's go ahead and cut these pizzas. Again, I'm going to go ahead and get a piece of the Poolish or the direct dough first. Let's get a cut. Nice and crispy all the way around. Sounds really good. And now you get a little bit more aroma off of it now that I'm cutting it. So let's just go ahead and get this piece here. All right, so let's go ahead and get a taste of this. I'm again go for the crust. All right, pretty good. Let's go ahead and get a taste of this. Again, nice and crispy. And again, we'll take a bite of this crust. Two distinct flavors. Again, with the direct dough, it's going to be more of a mild crust flavor, but then again over here with the Poolish, it's a little bit more stronger, a little bit more nuttier. So again, maybe it's just because again a little bit more yeast, or because again it was cooked a little bit longer. I don't know, but comment down below, what do you think is better, a direct dough or a Poolish? Again, if you like my channel, comment, like, and subscribe. Check out my Instagram at the Pizza Guy John, and we'll talk soon.